There it goes. Thank God. I don't know what the hell was going on there. Oof. That was so weird. All right, let's see if this works. Please, please, please work now. My God, what a pain in the butt. Hey, there we go. All righty. Gonna delete that. All right. Thank God. That was a pain to get that thing fixed. All right. That was a pain in the ass. I don't know why, guys. I was trying, and YouTube would just not connect. I don't know if a bajillion people are suddenly online or what, but as you can see, I had a problem. I'm going to show you guys the problem, and then I'm going to show it later again in the live because it pisses me off to no end how a manufacturer can do some shit like this and then send it out. And I'm so mad about this, it's not even funny. It's just not even funny because obviously I had to pull this shit back out because of this. The upgraded slave. Is what I can say. And I'm going to show you guys that it's kind of unpinched after a while now. But we can see that's been pinched. And I have a nice, beautiful picture of that. And that goes inside this. This goes inside of here. And that goes inside the slave. And that's why it lasted all of 3. Oh, why does it keep doing this? You've got to be kidding me. It just kicked me out again. It froze again. Please tell me it's not frozen, guys. Why is it doing that? Well, it shows frozen on my end. That's so weird because, like, I go to pull it up here and it's a blank screen. Can you guys see me? That's what the hell? That's so weird. Unless I'm on the wrong one. That's what the hell? Oh, there we go. Got it. Yeah, I'm sure YouTube's going to be real happy about all my cuss words. So I'm waiting for people to show up. Oh, man, you can really see that thing's crooked when I place it on there. And that's why it lasted all 3 days, because when they installed it and the ring was sticking out like that, and they just smashed it in there. So that, because of that, I had to take that out. But let me get my jacket on, because, man, it's getting chilly. Ooh, yeah. We need to get some more people in here, man. Let me see. Let me get some people from the chat in here and get some information back and forth. And I think this is the link, is the right link. Should bring me right back to it. Yep. Share that and that in there. And then I guess everybody's probably working too. So I can't believe that piece lasted even 3 days like that. And, you know, I should want to dispel another myth too. I mean, I know not a lot of people in here, and I really do appreciate you guys popping right in. The myth is that the slave overthrows the clutch. That's a myth. I'm going to tell you that right now, and I'll explain why it's a myth. And it comes down to a simple volume equation as to why these do not overflow. Because the size and the surface area, the amount of area involved in this is very large, which means it has a large fluid capacity. And it has a larger fluid capacity than an actual stock slave cylinder, because a stock slave cylinder is a very tiny bore, very, very tiny. So in order for this to have thrown further than an OEM, which would mean that you would have to add more fluid, which is an impossibility because the actual clutch master, it doesn't change size. So the only way you can actually overthrow these is to actually put an upgraded master in there with a larger volume. That's how you overthrow them, not by putting a slave in. It's pretty difficult to actually overthrow them. Usually it's a clutch pedal adjustment. But for reference, I put too short of a shim in mine, and now my pedal has to travel further in my car than it did when it was stock to get it to disengage. And the pedal has to go all the way down, and it's not defective. The clutch is not defective at all. But you know, that just proves, though, this is a larger volume area. So that's a simple fact. It doesn't happen that way. So unfortunately, that has created this wonderful joy. And I should mention something about the file, okay? And the biggest thing that stuck out in my face was the air-fuel ratio. It is just not an air-fuel ratio that I would ever run on a set of 2000cc injectors. It's never going to happen. I don't care if you request it from me. It's never going to happen because, you know, it just proves the point, though. Like the wear in the bores was from heat. When I'm going to grab a piston because I want to show everybody what I mean. For those who have been following, they saw in the bores on both sides of the bore where the piston would rock this way. You saw wear in the bores. It just wiped it clean. How does that happen? Well, the piston gets too hot and it swells out. Now, because they have a protective coating, the coating is thicker than the piston. The coating touches the piston wall first. So the heat gets into the piston, swells the piston, and then wipes the bore clean of all the cross hatching. That's what happens. That's how that happens. If it was a trash thing in the system, right, from when like you blow out a thrust washer, it eats all the way around the bore because you've got trash everywhere. It's getting trapped in the rings. It's getting trapped in the oil ring. That's different. And you will see that when you have trash in there. I mean, that's just a fact. You know, and so there was just a lot of stuff that went on in that thing. And it doesn't take long, guys. It does not take long for trash to get in through the system. It really doesn't. It's you can literally, if you've got a spun bearing and you do one more hit, you could send so much trash through the freaking system. I mean, so much trash through the system in one hit because of all that extra load. You can spin them right down the line. I mean, you can. That's just the way it is. You know, the hydraulic throwout, it's okay. It's really great to make the pedal softer, but it makes the pedal softer because it has a larger surface area. And again, it goes back to you have to fill a larger volume so you get more leverage. You will never get a softer pedal by filling a smaller volume. I mean, that's just a fact. So it just goes back. So, and for those who didn't see, this was the problem with the slave, why it only lasted 3 days, because they worked through an O-ring system. For those who are showing up now, it works through O-rings, and the O-ring was not installed properly, and it was kinked and ruined. And you can see, let me get it to sit still. You can see the O-ring, and unfortunately, that is what happened. And let me see if, God, I can't. Oh, it's so freaking cold. Can I get it to focus? You could see how bent. If I just hold it up there. And so how they're installed, I should mention how they're installed. Um, so when you have them, it's actually really simple how these clutchmaster slaves work. The O-ring gets pushed in here, right? And then now that it's in here, you can't really see the defective inner O-ring. That inner O-ring creates the tension. So the wider portion goes facing down, so the fluid pushes on the back and it wants to push the O-ring actually out, and then it pushes the bearing that inserts inside of here. Now, when you're putting them in, it's a pain because I pulled it apart to sit there and see, like, okay, what's the difficulty to get this together where you're not going to kink it. Now, there is a trick to it. Now, this one might just be because I don't have like a decent lubrication on it. I'm going to bet that when they got to the point where it's difficult, they just mashed it in there. See, this just rolled clean over when I went to put it in there. And that's probably due to maybe some sort of swelling, maybe even, I wouldn't say swelling of it, but I want to say that maybe this just wasn't a good O-ring and they just forced it in. I don't know how their manufacturing line goes when it comes down to clutchmasters. I'm not really sure, what they're doing there. But this O-ring definitely doesn't feel like it's made correctly because I could take a new one apart and put it right back together. Now, I wish I could show, yeah, this thing does not want to go in correctly. Yep. So, yep, it only wants to go one side and not the other. Anyway, there's just, when they go in, you don't want them rolled with this part down. You want to get the top piece because you can replace these. Like this is a perfectly good hydraulic slave if I just replace this O-ring and put it in correctly. So if I could get it back out, but this one, and if you want to get them out, you just use air. Oh, look at this! Wait! Oh, there we go. I didn't notice that. That is from when it was kinked. There you go. So between the two, that's why I don't want to go back in. I'm sitting there trying to mess with it with my fingers here, and as long and behold, it's split in two. And all because of I'm not a huge fan of the support of this. I think there should be a steel ring inside of this. A steel ring would do a lot better job, some type of supportive solid ring. And then, or another idea would be like you can make these wider, right? There's no reason why I can't see this to get a little bit wider and then put an actual machined piece of aluminum, right? And an O-ring inside edge groove, outside edge groove. So now you have two captured O-rings that when you press it in, where are they going to go? Because they're captured in there. Like almost like the piston ring gets captured in the groove. Why not do that? Right? And then at that point, what are you gonna lose at that point? And then if they're worried about like contact wear, on the slave, you could just put something in there on this side, like there's no reason you can't put something there. I mean, materials have come such a long way at this point. Why are we just using a little chintzy rubber O-ring to push against this slave here? I mean, against the throwout. So, and like, why are we doing things that way? Why can't we come up with a better design at this point? So, I want to mention something else about the air-fuel ratio that was in this thing, man. It was getting close to. The numbers are out there. It's an air-fuel ratio, honestly, that was on this thing. I wouldn't, on 2000s, that I wouldn't even run on a smaller injector. What do I mean by that? On a smaller injector, you get a better spray pattern, right? So less of it hits the cylinder walls, and you get better dispersion, therefore better cylinder cooling, and you don't need to run more fuel because the bigger 2000s and 2500 cc injectors, when they spray, they shoot further across the cylinder bore. So that becomes a problem. So in order to accommodate the way the spray is, it's not as fine as a mist. You have to add more fuel. It's not a whole lot more fuel. You're not like going down to like an 11.8, but there's another catch. These cars, the DE5 and FL5, there's something in ECU, which I'm not going to disclose, but you can't run the same air fuel. You can't dare to run the same air fuel ratios in these cars that you can in the FK8 and even the Accord. The Accord even more so. The Accord, you get away with it way more than you think. It's kind of wild because once you move the O2 sensor in the Accord, it behaves entirely different than it does for the OEM. So that is where the problems come from. I haven't decided if I just want to, I don't really just want to kind of share the file for the public. Like, I just don't want to do that because it's just too much. But it needed to be disclosed that it's not, the numbers that were used were just not safe. So what do I mean? What do I mean by this? Like, the difference is what you get out the tailpipe versus what you put in the computer and what it reads off the O2 in the front are different things. And if you're not checking that from generation to generation, from car to car, when they change, you're asking for it. You're really asking for it because they will run lean and they'll sound good on ethanol at first. And even on an ethanol mixture, you're going to end up with some serious problems. So, Andy, you mentioned you didn't like the Slave. Have you tried the Slave before? Because I'm curious. Like, you said you didn't like it, so I was curious as to what your experience was. I'm just like to hear your experience with it. You bugger. Oh. There we go. Come on, baby. There we go. I should mention, too, these cars, to drop them back in, for those who are going to do them themselves, let me give you guys 2 tips. 1, loosen this trans cooler. You don't want this in your way when you put this back in. It will hit the frame rail and you will bend this right here, which is exactly what happened. I forgot to post about that. I had to fix this pipe that they bent to death. The other thing is, FL5 and DE5, do yourself a favor, remove the crank pulley. Like, just remove it. It's going to come out way easier because there's just not as much room with these. And it's kind of crazy that there's not as much room. You guys still hear me, right? I think Andy maybe forgot to write or something. Is it cutting in and out, or are we good? Huh. Let me check something here. Maybe I lost Andy. YouTube videos. Gosh, that's something. Okay, cool. So, does anybody have any questions about the hydraulic slave? Because All right, brother, man. Let's take care of you, man. Like, just, as you can see, it's just me and myself and a lot of headaches, you know. Um, that kind of, what the heck? Oh, yeah. I guess we lost, and maybe we lost Andy because I was hoping to hear his experience with it, man. You know, I've had in the past, it's not the first time that I had an issue with a clutchmasters slave upgrade. Have I ever had one overthrow the clutch? Hell no. I'm gonna have to go back some. I really wish there was more room in the engine bay in these cars. There's just, it's tight. It's definitely tight. Oh, I want to say something else too. The Wagner intercooler fits right in this thing. So if anybody's watching that has a DE5, the Wagner intercooler fits, but you have to drill the crash bar in order to mount the two brackets that hold the top of the Wagner intercooler. Also, I haven't released it yet, but this got the G series turbo kit, and there is a upgraded charge pipe, 2.5-inch pipe. Also, the reason I haven't had the other 2.5-inch pipe for the Garrett kits for the FK out yet that fit the Mishimoto, my intercooler, and the Wagner is because I haven't had a car where it could end up where the blow-off valve could be on the hot side. I thought I could, but I need I need one so I can make the correct spot off of it to make a jig, so that my fabricator can make a jig off of it. So unfortunately, that didn't happen because all the cars that I've done, one of them that I was just going to do, it had to be moved to the cold side because he had an oil cooler, and I had to do some crazy stuff to make that work. So that's the only downside. It won't fit with the M8 Performance oil cooler on the FK8. So that was another thing that we ran into. It was unexpected. So unfortunately, again, had to move the blow-off valve to the cold side. So honestly, though, I wish there was a way to make a pipe for the cold side that would fit all the different manufacturers. Unfortunately, there just isn't a way to do that. No, that is tight. Man, I gotta watch everything. I gotta watch the oil filter to make sure that thing don't hit the AC compressor. Oh, wait. Oh, it's all right. How much? Okay, good. This would be a lot easier if I had a second person. That's for sure. So I have to see if I can get this AC compressor to just sit up. Nope, nowhere near. All right. I've got to get a bungee here and get this thing out the way. Yeah, so, you don't, I'm sure the dealer probably makes people evacuate the AC, but you really you don't have to. Man, there's got to be a better way to hold this up. I'm going to have to wrap this way. Okay. Oh, you bugger. Oh, I guess I'm just going to have to do it the hard way. What's the best way to get rid of gear grind? So I was actually going to come up with a proprietary mix, but one of the things is the factory clutch delay valve really helps, unfortunately, kind of contributes to it. So the clutch slave upgrade for like the factory delayed lead style, you can do one of those. That helps with grinds quite a bit. Anybody who's done it knows. Man, this is such a pain. There's got to be a better way to hold this up. Shoot. I'm just kind of in my own way. I have more room back there. Oh, I got way more room back there. What about over here? Yep. Back forward I go. There we go. Maybe now I can rest this AC compressor up on here. Come on, baby. Nope. I'm going to just be stupid. I just got to go further down. This is honestly the hardest part. Is just getting it like lined up a little bit here. And not... In this car, it's not about not crushing your dang oil filter. And being really careful with AC line. There's a lot more room in this bad boy. I'll tell you that, man. So what I'm trying to do here is get this AC, there we go, just resting on the bracket like that. And once that AC compressor is resting on the bracket, you've got, it's a lot easier with everything in here. Well, it's also cool about another thing I'm going to do for the DE5 is I'm going to make cold side pipe to go to the Wagner, because the Wagner connects to the original cold side pipe, but it can be made for that. So that'll be really cool for the guys who go to the Wagner route and they don't want to run this one cold side pipe, because the Wagner normally replaces the hot side pipe. That's going to be done too. So this way you can actually just run the Wagner and get an upgraded pipe, and it's going to have a methanol bung in it and nice little extra, because this, I'll tell you right now, this Wagner intercooler is really nice for this car. I was very impressed with it right away. And I should mention also the reason behind the hot side charge pipe mod is when you get to like a G30 or even like pushing a G25 660 further, you get better spool, you get better range for power. The wastegate as RPM climbs, instead of like shrinking and running out of turbo, a lot of times it gets backed up on the compressor cover. And people don't really understand that behind that. Yeah, in theory, a smaller charge pipe would spool better, but that's not always true. It's just like if you take a Supra, they did a test, and I think it was a G30 770, and they started with the smallest housing, and the smallest housing actually spooled, the turbine housing spooled worse than the next size housing up. And it was like, hey, what's going on here? And it was like, sometimes the smaller size turbine housing doesn't help. You know, there's a whole lot of things that I want to say myths, you know, just like lack of truth. I don't know if it's just a lack of truth. It's just a lack of understanding, you know? So, unfortunately, there's a lot of that out there. And even though I've been doing this, and I'm not ashamed of this, even though I've been doing this for 25 years, I still make a list. And I do this every time. And you know why? So every single bolt goes back in the exact same order it came out. And when you deal with aftermarket stuff, and I want my customer to get their car, I want their car. I don't want it to have like call back 2 days later, I got a problem. 3 days later, I got a problem. I don't want them to have that experience. I'm not the cheapest guy, but when you get your, I'm also not the most expensive. When you get your car back, you're going to get it back right. So, you know what I should do? I should leave this. I wish I could leave this thing in view. Maybe I can. Trying not to put it on the mouse pad. Where's that? There it is. It don't work. I need something to put this on. Give me 1 sec, guys. A little box or something. There we go. Hopefully this don't block the camera from being too big. Kind of really want to. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw, I've been following Carlos's car. And you see, now that's going to block the whole damn thing. All right. Yeah, he did that same run in that same area he was at. And it was like he picked up so much just from third gear. See, that's still not quite right. You know, I'm terrible at this online stuff, guys. I really am. Oh, wait, what did I just do? There we go. I give up on that. I was trying to make it where I could just kind of keep this O-ring in plain sight. Me and online don't go together. So let's go back to that file. I want to mention something else. Oh, that's the wrong mount, genius. There was nothing special in it at all. Like, really nothing. And I want to go back to something that the customer told me. And I can only go off what the customer said, and I wasn't there. So I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I wasn't there. Customer said, quote. All right. And I believe him, though. He said that he was told that it didn't have enough fuel to deliver it. And that maybe the low pressure pump was the problem. And that happens a lot when, you know, they install an SDI and they don't realize that the low pressure pump is not going to be sufficient. That's pretty common. People think that the stock low pressure pump is enough to actually supply like 500 plus horsepower tires. And unfortunately, it's really just not. It's not enough. And so it turns around, does his due diligence, and puts a DW300C in it. And unfortunately, it went back and was told everything was fine, and then proceeded with tuning. And things happened. I'm just not going to get into all the crazy details. And the problem wasn't even fully the DW300C. The problem was when I took this out, the high pressure line was never modified. And for those of you who don't know, the high pressure line modification needs to be done with the XDI. Like, it's super important, because otherwise you will get less fuel than a Honda fuel system. So you really can't run 30 pounds of boost on a G3770 with an XDI with a non-modified high pressure line. The only way you could technically achieve that is to just lean it out a lot. And that is, honest with you guys, that's where things seem to have stemmed from. That seems to be what happened to the original. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. There are times where things do just happen. It just does. You know, you get a bad defective part, it happens, and things happen. It just does. And unfortunately, And let me ask you guys, do you want to, I hate trying to get into that too much, honestly. But I don't have the ability to show in the computer at the moment. But 1,000% the file was left open. 1,000%. And I was not really surprised as to what happened. Like, it really didn't surprise me in the least. Because after seeing the bores, there was no surprise to me as to, what made sense. As to why things occurred the way they did. So, could there, and I'm going to be honest, could there have been prior issues? Sure. There's no denying that. Right? But there was one other thing that stood out to me talking to the customer. He said, quote, car doesn't feel right. And to me, if the customer says the car doesn't feel right, I'm going to stop. And again, the customer said, quote, he was told everything was fine and continue. So whether the damage was 100% from that or had prior damage and that was an accumulation, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. But all I can do is be brutally honest about the situation. If my customer said to me, hey, don't feel right, there it is. Now, why are we here and why am I doing this, though? Because when I do an engine for a customer, okay, I tell them 2 weeks. I don't tell them 3 days, 4 days, or anything like that. Why? Because how pissed would the customer be if I did this, threw it right on the dyno, had him shipped back to him, and the slave blew out by him, and then he had to pay to ship the car back up here again. I mean, how pissed would he be? Could you imagine? I mean, seriously. What would you guys do? I think you guys would be like, wow, So, and it took me some time to find the parts to get everything back to stock slaves, stock lines, and all that stuff. Because I don't have an Acura dealer near me, and boy, was this a pain. You guys have no idea. Now, I'm helping the customer out in every which way I can. But, there's only, everything can't always be, zero. Like this was, and it's unfortunate that manufacturers like Clutchmasters, we can call them up, but they're not going to do anything but replace that. And I think it stinks because this is a big thing. This isn't like I put a fuel line on, had a problem with the fuel line, I took it off and sent it back, get it fixed. It stinks. It stinks all the way around. Another thing, where is it? There it is. Wood latch bracket. These tend to be in the way too. They got all these little brackets that are in the way on these things, man. But that one's got a longer bolt. Look at that. So, there it is. That's another thing I always can't stand about some people is they will put bolts anywhere. And they will not put them in the correct order. So the hood latch literally gets in the way when you're pulling it out. This air intake bracket box will damage the cooler. But so there's not really much more to say about it. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. Just that this car should already be in the customer's hands, and I've had to jump through hoops to get this thing finished again. So kind of frustrated today. I wish there was a way. You know what? There is a way. Oh, shoot. No, I can't because the file's on this computer that I pulled it off. So, I want to talk about something else too, real quick. The full race pump. I don't know who else had experience with it outside of me, with a few of them. The controls need work. They do. And I've ironed them out, and they needed quite a bit of work, but it's really huge. Even on Honda, it's a huge upgrade. And I mean huge for those of you who are looking to go that route between XDI and that. It's really big upgrade. So let's put it this way. That full race pump is so big that 2,500 cc injectors, literally 2,500 cc injectors on the full race pump, and the pump has more than the injectors. I mean, I don't know what else to say to that other than the pump is like huge. I don't know if there's an injector big enough to keep up with the pump. The only time that I actually ran out of fuel to feed the pump because we were still using the deadhead basket, and we were almost at 700 wheel horsepower at 8,200 RPM. And we finally ran out of Walbro 450 in the tank. The only thing you can do at this point to go bigger is to put a 525 with a relay on it, and then maybe turn it into a true return style system. But for those of you who are curious, like upper 600s, now maybe I could have cleared 700 if I did it at a lower RPM, because RPM is like crazy when it comes down to fuel. As soon as you add more RPM, man, you guys get less fuel. That's just the way it goes. Let me see. Am I under the engine where I want to be? Oh, yeah. Yay. So, she's going to be back in today. And it'll be running tomorrow because there's a threat of yet another snowstorm. Oh, that's cool. I hate that bracket piece. I think this might be a world record for South Carolina, snowing 2 times in a matter of like a month. It might be a record. I have no idea. Absolutely crazy that it even snowed half a foot here in the first place. It made my life rather interesting. Oh, I forgot about something. There's going to be a G Series Gen 2, essentially. I don't know if they call it the G Series 2 or the G Series Gen 2. So what they've done is they've improved compressor aero, and I can verify firsthand that they're absolutely, even though the turbine wheels are small, there is plenty of room in the turbine side for exhaust flow. And that's because they use a 9-blade and not a 10-blade design. Holy cow, is there a ton of room in there. Way more than I thought. And, God, let me show you guys. Well, I don't know if those aren't seen. The pistons are going in. I just can't show you guys the crown design. Oh, wait. Hurt mixed opinions, engine mounts, slave cylinder mod. Yeah. I thought you said something. Okay, yeah, but yeah, they're going to be in an engine soon. Not mine, but they're going to be in an engine soon. And they're going to take a beating. That's for sure. And I didn't use some like off manufacturing company or anything. It was a major manufacturer who I went to, and I'm really happy, extremely happy, because the wrong compression ratio was accidentally made, and went back to the messages, and they apologized, and they fixed it right away. And I can't say anything other than that's fantastic. That's awesome. I mean, I think that's awesome that they did it. And I was extremely happy. Like, no questions asked. And I was so happy that I asked them, I was like, hey, those other pistons that are a different compression ratio, how much do you want for them? And I thought it was great because he came back with a message, and here it is, the picture of the Godfather, and he writes, make me an offer I can't refuse. I thought that was fantastic, man. That was great. That was great, man. Oh man, I was laughing, and but at the same time, I was like, yeah, man. So I did what I did. I made him an offer, and he countered offered, and I got him at a really good price, and I'm passing that price on to my other customers. So, we'll leave this up here. Yeah, I mean, I just sometimes, I really don't think I really don't think what's important with a company is when something happens. I think what happens is when you communicate to each other and it gets sorted out, because I'm willing to work with people, I mean, so, and I try, and I think sometimes I come across a little bit, I don't know, I guess people think I don't know, I guess they think I'm condescending, apparently. Remote engine, airbox bracket, hood latch, crank pulley, and keyway. So, one of the things I never, man, I hate how tight these things gotta go. I got a special socket for Honda crank bolts. You guys are gonna like it. For those of you who have problems getting Honda crank bolts off, this is your best friend. So this is made by Ingersoll Rand, and it's a weighted socket. If you can't get this off with a decent impact and one of these, you're probably in for some serious headaches. But this has been an absolute lifesaver to me. I mean, I got a snap-on impact gun, and I can put all the air pressure in the world to it, and I've had it where Honda crank bolts will not come off. And I tell you, my goodness, man. Later on, when the car's in gear, I'll double check that. Make sure she's torqued right so they don't back out. I had a customer, not really sure what happened. Not something I installed, meaning customer that I actually know. I did a ported head for, sent it out to him, and we were getting ready to do it was for an SI, and we're getting ready to put on a dyno, and then like he drove it, it died. Turned out the crank bolt walked off. I was like, oh no. And he got lucky though, and thank God, because I mean, again, things do happen, but don't go crazy, take your time. Transmit, engine, yep, okay, yep, overflow bracket. That should be two little nubby 10s. Oh, I have an announcement too. As soon as I find this bracket. It's a rather big announcement. As soon as I put this bracket on, I'm going to grab the computer and I'm going to show you guys something. Something that in 2 months' time, there'll be no more outside work. Not moving far, but I'm technically moving. So, got lucky. And there is a building on this property that I will be moving everything into. And I'm excited and nervous, because this will be really cool. Really, really cool, man. Let me grab the computer. So, coming soon. I will be in that building, which is more than double the size of what I'm in now. Will I have a full lift in there soon? I don't know. One step at a time. Also, I am now working with somebody trying to get sorted so that we can have somebody do a lot of the orders for me. And another exciting thing that I'm coming out with is something that pairs with the Honda CanFlex. So I'm waiting on a few parts, and definitely that's another thing I'm really excited about. Although I don't sound like it, I definitely am. 1000% excited about it. I just can't announce it because it's not finished yet. I'm sure it will work. Yeah, I gotta wait. not because I just gotta wait for parts. But let's just say I want to show you guys a fitting that is kind of an issue. As soon as I put this on. So the CanFlex is a nice kit though because it simplifies things. But there is something that I need to show. And I mean, the install is a little, but where? This fitting right here. I doubt I'm going to be able to capture this on camera. See that? Right? Wait, there we go. See how small that is? That's the exit for the CanFlex side. And there needs to be a solution for this. The problem is that when you take the fitting off, right, these capture the flex fuel sensor in the Honda CanFlex. So you've got to come up with a solution. I've come up with a solution, and I'm just waiting on a couple pieces to get rid of this part. Now, for those who don't believe this is a problem, I'm going to show you something. And it's a very rudimentary test. Because I'm always thinking about something. Come on, baby. Here we go. This is a very rudimentary test, but it's just really good at proving the point, right? I'm going to try to take a full breath of air and blow through this. You can hear the restriction bad. You can hear how even air doesn't want to go through this. And then you take something like a liquid that's thicker, you're going to struggle even more versus. So this is going to be okay to a point, but then you're going to run into problems, kind of like the PRL V3 kits. The other side, it's not really an issue because it's straight through. It's just straight through into the sensor. It's not really an issue. But this also, in a way, doesn't leave an upgrade in the future. So you've got to, and I do plan to do that. And I am also working on, I'm going to just spill the beans. I'm working on a return system that's going to try to be super simple to install to where you don't have to drill anything in here, put any crazy brackets in here that come with it, and it's just going to be easier to install. That's going to take some time. I know there's return kits out there, but one of the return systems for fuel, I don't like the lines they use. And then the other return system that's out there, I'm just not getting into details on that. I just don't like the lines on the one. The other one, I have my other reasons that I don't like it. I've always been about how can I make it as simple for the customer as possible. I mean, to me, that's the answer. Yeah. Overflow. I'm just crossing this stuff off. 11. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think we really need to, weather needs to stabilize or something, man. So, but I'm really excited about moving into that other building. Soon, man. Soon. I think I'm going to put up a video with just details and pictures. And it's going to have all the answers to everything that happened. One thing I was surprised about the DE5 and was that the back of the engine bay doesn't have any more room than the FK8 does. It's literally the same thing. There is no extra room. Like zero. And I thought maybe there would be. So another thing is these mounting holes back here are in different spots. That was another thing that I realized. I measured. Yeah, 12, not 14. Started. Going in blind. Not really. This little snap-on ratchet, man. This thing's a little angry, pissed off little beast for a 1/4-inch drive ratchet, man. I'll tell you that. This little sucker gets mad. So, you gotta hold on to it. She will tear your hand off. Why there's not more questions about the car and the clutch slave upgrade? Surprised. Very surprised. Yep, it's plenty tight. Alright, what can we get rid of now? That's done. Hey. Time out. Oh, yeah. Man, I am so not looking forward. I wish there was so much better way to do these axles on these cars, man. They really are a royal pain in the butt. Even with the right tools. I don't like them. I don't like doing it. Oh, why is it fighting me? Which way do we need to go? Up. Nope, down. There we go. Now let me get that before I forget. Where the heck? No. That lose the white space. No, it's there. I don't like those. I don't like that cover at all. It makes me like uncomfortable. Lear's got one of those titanium J's covers. Oh, Not a huge fan. Plastic spacers in there. Not a huge fan. I think later today. Well, after this gets back in, she'll be ready to go on the dyno. Like right away. So, and then after she's on the dyno, give it, I don't know, I want to say, you know what? No, I don't want this touching the front of the car. I just heard that zipper touch the front of the car. No. No. Yes, I can detail a minor scratch, but I'll be damned if I'm adding it myself. I'll sooner be cold, ice cold crucible than scratch the car. So I actually have, you know, another thing I haven't put up on the site is I have upgraded belts for these cars. For those of you who don't know, these belts are the grooves. There's slightly more material in the grooves, and they're made of better materials, stronger materials, high RPM better. They don't flex as much. I need to post them too. Completely forgot about these. There's been so many things that I've just been working on, and I've been so backed up that I just can't get it all done. And my God, I wish somebody lived closer in South Carolina that could help me get through all this. I really do. Because I need somebody to be able to do some of the other things. I guess I've offloaded some stuff but none of this type of stuff. Because I don't have anybody yet that I really know that can do this kind of work to the degree of where I feel is needed. You know, to the extent, you know, I kind of figured that was going to be the man on the crank. Man, this belt is snug. All right. Maybe I got to come off that side first and then around. All right. No, it fits because I had it on here. How did I... All right. You know what? I hate doing it that way, but I'm going to have to. Come on. Get on there. It's a fit. This is another one of the belts. It's an upgrade. A little snug though. It goes on. Gotta just get it just right. And then she'll go on. There we go. It's a nice, that one's also a nice little upgrade. Not that Honda belts are bad, but their materials aren't, their belts, they're decent, but they're just not as good as what's available. That hurt. Belt, engine, ground, and mount. go back and find, you know what? Can I temper? Are these the right size for temp? Yeah, I can align it this way. And then take that back out. Oh, yeah. I should have never left this up here. Shame on me. Shame on me, shame on me, shame on me. So another thing I did to prevent AC line breakage is remove the one bolt right here. This gives you some leeway. Oh, question. Let her piss off first. As well as beating the piss out of first and second gear. So, the synchro mesh is okay, but it just doesn't quite have enough. The biggest issue is we're so focused on fuel economy. These fluids are so damn thin. That's a big problem. I've come up with a fluid mix. I have it. I used it on this car. This is for the trans, but you'll notice the color is very different. It's what I've been running in mine, and it's what I've been running fluid-wise in pretty much all of my customers' cars. And I think that was another thing that I talked to one of my customers, and I want to make it where I can put the fluid to the exact amount you need, right? And in every car, it's pre-mixed, ready to go to the exact amount. You can just drain it, fill it. You don't have to worry about overfilling it, and just sell that as a product. I have to, but there's some things that prevent that from just being released right away, you know? And it's something I just have to work with later. Slave delete helps. There's no question about it. That's one of the best things. The slave delay valve delete is one of the best things you can do. There's no question about that. I think that I want to mention something else too. Did you guys know that there is an updated part number listed under the FK8 for the trans? Now, I'm not sure if there's a legit update as far as the trans itself goes. Like, or if that's just like, okay, we changed the part number because of this, or what, because they moved it to a different, not location, not the word I'm looking for. Just like like when they changed the catalog, maybe they just changed it because. So, not sure about that because you never know with Honda with the way they do things sometimes. Sometimes Honda's a little funny. I have that on full. Yeah. All right. Use that to line it. Deal with that later. And yeah, I should have left the ground off. Whatever. So another thing is interesting. The F05 DE5, I guess Honda figured out that the bracket, oh shoot, I should have left that off, needed more support because the Honda one, for those who don't know, for the FK8, it's just 114, another, well, it's actually M10, but 14 millimeter head bolts, the head of the bolt. And what they did was they made it so that there's 3 bolts. There is one longer than the other ones. And there's 2 that go to the top of the mount now instead of just 1. And clearly, that's a significant design change. Let me take that little 10 back out so I can get underneath there more easily. Well, I'll tell you what, I will be glad for my customer when he gets his car back, because I know this guy has been through some stuff, man, and it's a shame that it's happened. It really is. It really is a shame. The stuff this poor guy went through shouldn't have happened. Not once, not one bit. Not in the very least. To be honest with you, I don't think any customer should have gone through it. Now, I don't know if everything that happened was just, well, an issue of youth or... Not sure. Like, not youth as the customer goes, but youth as the individuals who worked on it. Unfortunately, we'll never know unless I meet those people to see what kind of, persons they are. But well, I'm hoping for this car, I'd like to see like 650. Now, I didn't choose certain components, but I still think it's very possible, significantly possible with the path we've chosen for this thing to make 650. And, I should mention this too. For those who are worried about transmissions, okay? The FL5 transmission does work. 1000%. It works in an FK8. And you can get the speedometer work, the rev match, the speedometer right. It all works. It takes wiring and brackets and a tune. And I promise you guys, it works. Now, why would I say this is important? Because the FL5 trans is tougher because it's got better carrier bearings, better shift gates in it. There's been some updates, although the gear ratios are the same, yes, the final drive is longer, but it works good for those of you who just don't want to go to upgraded gears. The PPG gears are too long. It works. It just works. But again, like I said, it takes some wiring and some brackets. Is Kelford Stage 1 cam better than TR2s? Okay, here's what I'm going to say, all right? I don't like knocking companies. It is my preference, all right? I prefer a Kelford Stage 1 over a TR2. I will tell you this, though. TR2s are easier to tune. Kelford 2s are more efficient at power. The TR2s will make more power from 1,000 to about 3,300 RPM to 3,500 RPM. Kelford Stage 1s will make more power from 4,000 up. They are not the same duration. While the numbers, if you convert them, look somewhat similar, they are not. Kelfords have more duration, and their lobe is a softer ramp, so they have a wider, more low lift flow, okay? And the TR2s have a little bit more high lift flow. So if we were to take the cam lobe and chop it clean in half from height to the middle of the lift to that, and you looked at it on a cam chart, the TR2s are more like this, and the Kelfords are more like that. But the similar total lift, like peak lift, but the Kelford Stage 1s have a little bit more duration. They have a bigger non-VTEC lobe cam. So that's why the tuning is a little bit more difficult. However, it can be done. So, but I mean, if you go absolutely ham on the cylinder head, um, it's gonna want so much more change in the fueling. Like if you go ham, like I did with Logan's cylinder head, like we went ham on that thing. Um, I mean, like beyond what I even offer, you're gonna have some tuning difficulties. You're gonna need to put a little bit of methanol in there to kind of even some things out. Whereas the TR2s, I would place them like this in cam size order. Let's do it this way so that we can be clear. A Kelford drop-in is the smallest one. Actually, the Belay cam they used to offer is the smallest one. And then you're going to have a Kelford drop-in. Then you're going to have TR2. Then a Kelford stage 1. And then you're going to have TR3. And then you're going to have a Kelford stage 2. Okay, that's the order size of cam size, I want to say, because you got a little more duration, total duration on a stage Kelper stage 1. How do I know this? Well, the best way to put this is I can put them side by side, both the stage 1 and a TR2, after they've been running in the car, and then again, so you got the same valve lash, and just look at the contact area and how far it goes around the lobe. That gives you an idea of actual lift. You can't see actual lift when you do it at 50 thousandths lift on a cam doctor. That's not necessarily going to give you real world lift, and most of your airflow comes in the first half of the lift because that's your highest airspeed. And it's the bottom half of the lobe, the actual lower lift area, you spend more time in the lower lift area. So there are trade-offs. So you have to make a decision, where do you want to be in that trade-off? What does that for you? Where do you want to be? Do you want more power until 3,500, right? Or do you want more power from 4,000 to 8,000? Where do you want to be? So that's kind of like how I would say to approach that. But I mean, a lot of people use TR2s, TR3s, and it's fine. You know, I'll say the machining tolerances on Kelfords are better. Um, there's no questioning that they are. If you're gonna choose Kelfords, though, you need somebody with some significant camshaft tuning experience, and you've got to put the car on a dyno. Just from 7 degrees of cam timing change, or 7 or 9, I can't remember, 7 or 9. I picked up over 20 horsepower on Logan's car, and the graph went from ripply to perfectly smooth. It's something that you cannot, and I mean, I repeat, you cannot see or find on the street. There's no indication in the data log to tell you that how the cylinder filling, because what happens with cam timing, especially intake cam timing, you're changing how the air is being filled in the intake manifold. And you can get into a situation where you get some like reverberations, I want to say, in the manifold, where the air doesn't go in smoothly. And that's why it's more important than ever, especially in the case of camshafts, to really put the car on a dyno. Becomes, even with getting to bigger turbos and like a Prattworks manifold over a stock one, these kind of cars need to go on a dyno, because you just don't know. There's no way to tell in the data how smooth your power is, how good your power delivery really is. And you're like, stock cams, okay, they're so freaking mild, you can get away with a ton of stuff, but you're still not going to find that 10, 15, 20 in the middle. You're not going to magically make a perfectly smooth torque curve on every car. Even if you did a carbon copy of 2 cars, you still have core shift and a cylinder head. You're just not going to get there. Yeah, so. God, sounds like me and my bones in the morning. Oh, yeah, there is this too, I should mention. They are, and I can't answer you how they're going to be. Calford is making cams for the Accord, the C4. I got an information and notice on it that they're making it for the C4, but I don't know how beneficial it's going to be because there's no fuel systems for those cars. So, and I can't answer you if the tuning behavior is going to be the same either. That's like so untested, and there's just so much that there's just no way to answer the behavior on that. So there is that. They are making cams for the K20C4, seen it, so are tuned by SES. I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to tell you right now, man, you guys keep throwing that name in my chat, and I keep telling you, these guys do not. Look, I tell you what, I challenge another person to do what I did with the full race pump. Go look at Carlos's car on the full race pump. Look at the pump control before and after. I challenge them. And if they can do that, I will say they can tune Calford Stage 1s properly. Serious. Yeah, it's serious. Keep bringing up SES in my chat. I don't know why you come to, like, I don't go to SES's lives and go, hey, look at it. Guys are so hell-bent on that dude. Just so you know, it does not take a million horsepower to go 6s, 61, 30. Logan's already in the top 10 FK8, and he hasn't even been decent weather to get any traction. He's already in the top 10 listed 60 to 130 FK8s at 630 wheel. And he's on a 25 660. He's not on no EFR 7670. God, I wish I didn't have to restart the computer. Would have loved to have shown those pump controls. They definitely needed work, especially with big injectors, and you want to take the use advantage of them. So every time I keep hearing somebody else's name shoved in my chat, I'm going to start throwing challenges out. I'm tired of hearing it. I really don't want to hear about other tuners. I don't care. Ugh. Let's put it this way. You know how this car ended up here? I'll tell you guys how it ended up here. 4-piston told him, come to me. That's all I'm going to say. He said, come to me. I don't have some sort of business relationship like that with 4-piston. Told him to come to me because I am the only person who can do the tier 3 cams on these cars without trying to add a whole bunch of supplemental stuff. Oh god, I hate these fucking axles. One of these days. Oh. I don't know what these previous guys did. Man, they must have had a serious problem trying to get these axles out. It's always tight in there. I really don't understand why guys think this is the only platform I tune to. Not sure why. Oh man, let me get some light here. Come on, man, give me some light. Where can I get the light from here? No, stupid. Make half the car out of aluminum. Something to hold on to. There. There we go. I hate these axles on these cars. The old cars used to be so easy. Will you please bring back the old Hondas? Please. Bring them back. The days of working on Hondas, swapping an engine and everything in a single day are long gone. If you swap an engine in a single day in one of these, you're leaving a lot of bolts out. Let's see. Are you going to let me wind up, or are you going to be a pain? Hey, oh. One of these days, I'll find. Oh, there we go. Hey. Come on. Get in there. Alright, I think I'm ending the stream because I got way too much crap to do and this is taking way too long. I gotta turn the light on instead. Oh, Juan. What's up, brother? Tell you what, Juan, I ain't talked to you in a hot minute. You got a minute? Give me a call, man, because I'm in the stream, man. I just got way too much crap to do to be sitting there trying to look at those chat numbers all the time. So, I'm going to give you a holler, brother. I got to get this car done today. Like, I got to get most of this car done today. But back to the Kelper Stage 1s, man. I'm telling you right now. Straight up, man. It is nothing like a TR2. TR2s are easy. So, and I'm going to leave the end of the chat at that. And I will talk to everybody later. Y'all have a great day. And again, I got a lot of stuff coming out soon. And I finally have some help. And I just pray to God that everything goes well and smooth. I'm not worried about the product development. It's just in business. to build a relationship. You start small, and I'm hoping that everything just works out great. I haven't had good luck in the past, so for those, wish me luck, because everybody in the community is going to benefit, not me. Because really, well, I'll benefit, yes, but the whole point is to move the company and go bigger. It really is. And yes, I'm getting that building, but there's more to it, and I'm trying to move to another place that I just have way more opportunity. I live in the middle of nowhere. If I lived in some place like Florida, North Carolina, California, I'd have already had 20 times the amount of cars that I work on. So, but that's it. Y'all have a great day and take it easy.